Ready to start whenever you are.
Okay, friends, you are now being recorded, and welcome to our first meeting of More Info Mondays. And I'm going to turn the table over to Kelsey Margulieux.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so thank you guys for being part of our first More Info Monday. I'm super excited for this. So, I'm Kelsey Margulieux, and I've been coaching First LEGO League since 2007, so a really long time now. I also coach a first robotics competition team, which is one of the high school programs. I've done event coordinator for some of the qualifiers in the southern half of the state and done the Southern Championships. So I've had a lot of experience with First LEGO League. This is my first experience in the statewide into things. I stepped into the partner role this summer, so I'm new to that. So thank you for being patient as I figure out what all that involves. But the First LEGO and actual coaching and the teams, I'm really comfortable with, and I love that. I love this program, and I love what it brings to students. So thank you all for being a part of it and bringing it to your schools or communities and your areas, because it really is amazing the difference it has on students. So the purpose of More Info Mondays is to build that community between first teams and hopefully get you guys in touch with one another and some of the resources that we have for you. So this was Lisa's brainchild. I think it's going to be awesome. And I'm really excited that she's made that happen. So thank you, Lisa. So this is the first one. And what I'm hoping is that I give you a big picture of what First LEGO League is. And hopefully it's a good resource for new coaches or for you to share with your teams. I keep saying coaches, but it's not just coaches. If you have parents who are just coming on board, if you feel like it's useful for your students, the goal is that anybody who's going to gain from this, by all means, invite them, share it after the fact. We'll have a recording of it when it's available. So the topics for the future sessions, next month, October 3rd, Doug Reese, he's been a head referee for qualifiers in one of our state championships. He's going to do rules and referees and really break down the rules and make sure you and your kids will know what to expect at the game tables. So that's the October. And then for November, Jamie Sherman and Nicole Friends from North Idaho are going to go over judging expectations, so you really know what's going on in the judging session and what that looks like. And then on December 5th, Lee Colson, he was our Treasure Valley event coordinator last year and a really long-time FLL coach. He's going to go over just general, anything that we miss, and that's on December 5th. So idea is between those sessions, we're hoping that you get information before it's too late, and it just helps prepare you for the season. So I'm also going to try to not hit too heavy on referees or judging, since we'll have a whole other session devoted to that. Okay, so basics of First LEGO League Challenge and what your season looks like. So it's September. Hopefully right now you're either just meeting with your teams or getting that in place so that you can. Depending on where you're at, you have 2 to 3 months until your qualifiers start. All the coaches, the league coaches for every team should have gotten an email with a link to registration that gives the specifics of the event venues and more importantly, I guess, when it is. If you did not get that email, please reach out to me or Lisa, and we'll send you an email that gives you that invite, and it has those dates on there. So I'm trying to read my notes. Okay, so what a qualifier looks like. So you have 2 to 3 months until your qualifier. At your qualifier, you're going to have 3 chances at the robot table for official matches. And then you'll also have a 30-minute judging session where your team really gets to share with the judges what they gained from the season. And during that judging session, they cover their project, their robot, and their core values. So I want to make sure you know like what each of those 3 things are tonight, and you feel like you have what you need to get prepped for it. So rather than putting together a whole new resource, I'm going to use the first website and walk you through some of the stuff that's on there and hopefully make sure that you get these resources. Okay, so if you go to the First Inspires website, under programs, you'll want to pick First Lego League, and then you're headed to games and season. There are 3 different First Lego League programs: Discover, Explore, and Challenge, that hit different ages. Everyone who's on here tonight is a First Lego League Challenge team. So you're working with students between 4th and 8th grade. Any resources you use should on them say First Lego League Challenge, otherwise they might be geared towards one of those other programs. Okay, so from the resource, so on the First Inspires website, there's a useful document called Challenge Overview, and that is just going through what all is involved in First Lego League Challenge and what that season looks like. There's really 3 big aspects of First Lego League. Those are core values, the innovation project, and robot design. There's 2 ways that the robots get judged at, or get a chance to, I guess, showcase at the qualifiers. One is the robot game, and that's where they take it to the table and demonstrate what missions the robots can do. That's robot game. And then there's also robot design, which is where they explain to the judges what their strategies are and what all is involved with their robot. Why they pick the missions they did, what their missions can do, what the different sensors are, what they're most proud of, what they struggled with and went through multiple iterations of, those kinds of conversations. So robots heavily emphasized, but innovation project and core values are also huge parts of it. So you want to make sure that your students know about those, and especially the innovation project. The innovation project is really it can be a huge time commitment, and I found that starting on it early and chipping away a little bit at a time is definitely a lot easier on the team. Anytime they tried to pull it together in the last, month or so, or last couple of weeks, when you did that, they definitely ended up wishing that they had gotten started on it sooner and put in more time to it. So I highly recommend starting the innovation project early and working on it a little bit each time. Scroll down to innovation project. This document, this challenge overview, really does a nice job of laying out what the innovation project is, and what students should do with it. The 3 big pieces that I've always looked at for your project is identify your problem, research it, solve it, research it, learn more about it, kind of thing, and then share that solution. This document breaks it up into 5 pieces, and this kind of reflects what the rubric is. But the big idea is find that problem that's related this year to improving your energy journey, solve the problem, and share it. With the sharing, there's kinds of 2 sides to the sharing. One is sharing it with people who are interested in the team just for the team's sake. So that's like kind of their families, their community. But then there's also that aspect of, did you share it with the people who are going to be most impacted by it? So going back to those experts that you reached out to, if it has something to do with power, can you reach out to your power plant? If it has something to do with batteries, can you reach out to, engineers that are working with that kind of thing? So really looking for those connections and sharing it with the experts is really a big part of it, because there's good feedback to be had there. And if nothing else, you're building really great resources for your team within like who they're talking to. Okay, so that's innovation project. And again, starting it early is really beneficial. If you're new to coaching, the robot game is really fun and exciting and interesting. And it's easy for students to want to do that and nothing but that. But there's so much to be gained from the project, and not just that it's going to be judged in a big part of their qualifier, but also like it's a really good experience for them to get into it. How often do we tell kids that there are problems in the world and you are capable of solving them? I think it's really empowering for students, and they come up with amazing things. So this document kind of gives that overview of the project. And then there are sparks in the engineering notebook, and I'm going to pull that up separately, so I guess I won't go into it here. but use this document as you need to. Okay, going back to the First Inspires website, the list of resources that you have there. Challenge updates, if there's clarifications of the rules or things like that, challenge updates are posted right there. Building instructions, if you are waiting for your challenge set, once it comes, there's a QR code in there that goes to the how to build each and every mission. There's also a link right there. Same thing with your robot game missions. You can find them on YouTube or right there. If your internet's questionable, you can download the whole video here for it. The score calculator is one that I wanted to pull up. So as your students get to the point that they're working on completed missions and they have things that their robot can do at the table. I find this a really useful way to end team meetings with. Not necessarily every week, or sorry, not necessarily every meeting, but maybe once a week. As it gets closer to your qualifier, maybe every meeting does become useful. But this is the same resource that the judges will use on a tablet. I said judges, I meant referees. But your referees will use on a tablet, and everything's a yes or a no or a certain number kind of thing. So yes, everything fits under there. Maybe they get something somewhere kind of thing. Walking them through this and having them check it is really useful. The last thing on here is one of my favorites. One, gracious professionalism is something that you want to encourage your students to bring to the table, to the competition, to every team meeting. If you're totally new to FIRST, gracious professionalism is that idea of encouraging and helping students to perform at that high level, but never at the expense of somebody else, whether that's somebody on their team or another team. Just that idea of bringing the best out in everyone, being competitive, but being willing to help the competition, and that we're competing against problems and not individuals. All of those wrap up into that idea of gracious professionalism. If you look on YouTube and you search like what is gracious professionalism to you, there's some awesome videos that have been done both by FIRST but also by FIRST teams, and having students share those stories is a great way of sharing with your team what it is if it's new and you want to explore that. The other thing that's worth noting is this question about gracious professionalism is on the official scoring tablet that the referees will be using as well. So having your students fill out this, they can take turns and score each other. It helps them understand the rules, but it's also a great chance to have that self-reflection as a team at the end of that match and say, okay, how did we do in gracious professionalism? What kind of attitudes do we bring to the table? Is there anything we need to work on? And encouraging them to reflect on their own behavior, not one another's. But great conversation starter, really good for your team. After you click whatever, you just hit that refresh up there and it'll give you your score. So that's your score calculator, and I find it really useful, especially if you're having students use it to help understand the rules and the gracious professionalism. Okay, back to First Inspire's website and the other resources that are on there. If you're new to programming, this is your first year coaching, or you're switching to the Spike Primes, the code for the guided mission, or even this image of it, are really useful. The wireframe and grid, this is on here as a PDF. You can print, 8 million copies, or one copy, or copy and laminate it. There's a lot of different ways to use this. Don't use it if you know it's here. So that is great as you're trying to lay out missions and do multiple things. The session slides, if you're doing more of a classroom setting and you want something really structured, if you're using the team the team meeting guide and those engineering notebooks, the session slides go hand in hand with what they've laid out. They're not 100% ready to go. There's some spots where it's like embed an age-appropriate video kind of thing. But if you're looking for something that really helps you maybe structure within a classroom or something just a little more organized, those session slides I would recommend taking a look at. If you're a little more laid back after school team thing, it might not be your thing, but just know that they're there. Okay, the robot game rulebook. If you have gotten your registration packet in the mail, you've gotten at least 2 robot game rulebooks are included in your registration. But if you want to print millions more, that PDF is right here for you. And I'll show you where to find the other ones in just a second. Rubrics for what a judging session looks like are also here. For some reason, at least on my computer, this rubrics link is dead, but the gray version is just a black and white of it. I'll click on that just in case you've never seen it. If you're new to First Lego League, these are the rubrics. The rubrics are what the judges have. So at your qualifier, the judges, your judging panel of 2 to 3 judges will have core values rubric, an innovation project rubric, and the robot design rubric. And it is not intended to be secret. Teams can look at this as much or as little as they like. As it gets closer to my students planning their project presentation, we use the rubric as an outline for whatever the skit's going to be. I encourage them, okay, whatever you're going to start with, this is the first thing the judges see. They have this in front of them and they're looking for which box to check. So what do you want to tell them first? And we use that to kind of hash out what order they're going to share stuff in. You don't have to, but it's on there as a resource for you. All right, so those are some of the things that are on First Inspires, and there's more stuff in there, and I'm sure there are things on here that I haven't found and haven't taken full advantage of, but know that at least those ones that I highlighted, I found really useful. Okay, so the robot game rulebook is here on First Inspires. I want to show you also how to access your team meeting guide and the engineering notebook. So if you go to First Inspires and you log in to your dashboard, and I always have to log in twice. Oh, well, hang on. Let's try that again. When you log in, if your team is paid for, then you have access to ThinkScape. If your team is not paid for and you're waiting on a grant, and I know I've already talked to some coaches who are in this boat, sorry. Okay, if your team is waiting for a grant and I know about it, I've reached out to you and I've made sure that you have a copy of the team engineering notebook and the team meeting guide. If you're in that boat and I don't know about it and you'd like those resources, reach out to me and we'll get them for you. But so if you're in that boat of you're waiting for your registration to get processed and so you don't have those hard copies yet, you can access them online right here. So this is in your first dashboard. If you're under the My Team section and you click on Access ThinkScape, ThinkScape is where all the first courses are. So when I click on it, I have last year's Cargo Connect First Lego League course, and I have this year's Superpowered First Lego League course. Clicking on that shows me 2 things. One is the Getting Started resources. These are the evergreen. They walk you through how to start a team, and they'll be just as valid next year or the next year. Season resources are the things that are specifically for the Superpowered game. So if I click on that, that includes digital copies for all your guidebook. So if you want that engineering notebook, I know the registration comes with 2 hard copies in the mail. If you have 10 kids and you want each kid to have one in their hand, you can print more copies here. Sorry. Okay, you also have Robot Game Rulebook. This one was on the challenge resources as well. And you have your team meeting guide. The team meeting guide, basically, it's the teacher's version, is how I think of it, of the engineering notebook. So if session 1 refers to specific things you might want to prep ahead of time, your team meeting guide gives that to the coaches. Smart guys. Okay, so those resources are there. And again, if you're in the boat of you're waiting for your hard copy, reach out to me and we'll make sure you have access to the digital copy. Okay. Other things. Oh, yeah. Okay, on first dashboard, something that is really helpful, saves you time and energy before you get to the competitions, and is really useful on our end of things in terms of tracking how many participants we write, like grant reports and things like that. If you can please encourage your students to join first dashboard, and to have a parent involved. Back to my dashboard. So parent, guardian, youth. If I click on this, as a parent, I only see my children. So what you're seeing right now is my 7-year-old who I've added into the system. It's a way for parents to sign the consent and release digitally, and then you can add them to a team. If you can encourage your students to do that, that's fabulous. If it is kind of sometimes finicky to work through the first system of how to do that, if you would like it and you want to email me, I have a PDF that you can copy, or we'll try to post it. I'm making it a list. We'll post that on our FLL resources on the First Idaho website in case it's useful. But it's just a selection of screenshots of here's how you register, and it's something you can share with parents and hopefully get them to add their kids to your team online. That means when you go to an event, you just hit print roster and it shows that they've already signed their consent and release. And you don't have to worry about collecting quite as many hard copies of permission slips. Okay. Other things on my list, things that I missed. Sorry, I'm bouncing around everywhere now. Going back to the first website, I wanted to point out specifically if you are a new coach or you're coaching in a building you haven't before, if you want the instructions of building a table, and this is like the physical table that the robots compete on, the instructions are here for what you follow and what everybody else follows. It's basically a 4x8 sheet of plywood with 2x4 borders around the edge. If you don't want to go into the effort of building a table, and honestly, for a first year with a million other things going on, I wouldn't make it a priority. You can always go back and build one next summer and have it for the next year. You're fine as long as you're rolling out that mat on a flat surface. The only thing you might want to do is use one 2x4 along whichever edge you're headed to. If you're trying to use either a touch sensor or like an ultrasonic sensor, just so that you know you have a 2x4, right? So it's closer to like 3.5 inches, but actually having that 2x4 there might be useful in some situations. There's lots of years where we haven't used it, but it might help your kids to know that it's an option. Okay, that was on my list of random things to tell you. Okay, the last thing I wanted to show you, and hopefully you have already made use of it, our website, I'm never in Chrome, firstidaho.robotics.org is First Idaho's website. First Lego League has things on it. The two, as we get closer to events, if you're looking for event details, there'll be an email that goes out, of course. But we will also post those details here under FLL events. This has not yet been updated for this year. We also just added FLL Communications. And when I send out an email, we're throwing it up here as a screenshot, just in case your email inboxes are as scary as mine, and it's sometimes hard to go back and find that email and you can't remember where you saw it or when. We just want to put that on there to make it a little easier for you to find the information that we've sent out and follow up on it. Okay, I think those were the big things on my list. And I talked really fast, so I'm through my list earlier than I thought I would be. I would love to open it up to questions if there are questions. And if not, we can hang out or we can call it an earlier night. I'm totally fine with either of those options. anyone have any questions that we can answer about what you should expect this season, or anything that I need to go back and talk through more slowly.
Kelsey, I have a question. I'm sorry, my video is not working, so I can't wave my hand here. Mine is completely it's not an interesting question at all. When I was on firstinspires.org and wanted to add my students because we had our interviews on Friday, I announced the team today, and I went to go plug their email addresses for their parents in there and get that whole process, that administrative process started. It says on my profile, and I think I've signed everything, and my our director of our school believes that she's signed everything. Mine says that the consent and release is on record, but it says that my youth protection screening is pending on vendor/first. Whereas her youth protection screening is verified, but her CNR says that it's not on record. And we both believe we've done both things.
Okay. Do you want to send me an email with your team number?
Sure.
And I can pull it up in our system. We don't get a ton more information than you, but I can at least see which specific contact it is that's missing that youth protection screening. And I can let you know on that. While we're talking about it, I will highlight that for everyone in case there's somebody else who's in a similar boat. When I'm on my first dashboard, which I think you can all see right now, up in the right-hand corner, it says, "Hello, Kelsey Margulieux." If it's brand new season, or if your background screening is every 3 years. So if that's at that 3-year mark for, it would say, "Hello, Kelsey," and I would have a red circle there with the number 1 or 2, depending on how many notifications it was. So for those of you that are new to First Dashboard, I take a look at that. I wish it automatically pulled that up of the next thing you need to do in your life is sign the consent and release. It doesn't. So sometimes it can get missed for a couple days until you're like, wait, what is that red circle? But Heather, for you specifically, if you send me an email with your team number, I'll look and see if I have any information on my end. Sometimes it does take a couple days for the consent and release to get processed. That vendor that it refers to is who processes all the background screenings for First. And yeah, sometimes at their end it gets a little bogged down and it takes a couple days. But I can dig and let you know. And if somehow it's lost in the system, we can send an email and say, hey, it looks like they're ready and it just needs to get sent off.
I think you just, by showing me where that little number 1 is up on the "Hello, Kelsey Margulieux" in the corner there, I think that's going to solve my problem. Okay. And Pascal got hers out within the last 2 days, so that's probably going to solve her problem.
Okay, perfect.
I can send you the information, but my guess is by Wednesday or Thursday or something, it'll be sorted out.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything? I feel like we were useful tonight.
So it's Christopher. I've got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Probably an issue on my side, but when I go to the resource tab, my page does not look like yours. I get a list with filters on it. So if I go like programs, First Lego League.
Okay, I know where you're at. Let me walk you through. Okay, I think I know where you're at. Let me show you how I got to where I'm at and what you're looking for, or what you're looking at. Okay, so if I go to programs, and then I under First Lego League, and I say game and season, and then I'm going to pick challenge season materials, and that's going to take me to everything.
Okay, specifically for this one.
Yeah. If I go to First Lego League and I say resource, I think I got the last one. If I do First Lego League and I say resource library, I'm now looking in the resource library for all the resources of First. This one, every single year, I need the logos over and over and over. If you come in here and you search like logos, team outreaching and marketing resources, it's looking through all of their resources and it's finding everything you need. So if there's something big that you're looking for, that resource library is really useful. But if you're looking for the season resources, sorry, my 3-year-old is really excited that I'm on a screen and thinks she needs to be on it with me.
Well, of course. Okay.
Okay.
And then, so on our team, we've got some kids who in 3rd grade who want to be on our team.
Mhm.
Is that possible, even though they're kind of officially below the age group?
Yeah. So first is really a stickler on that upper limit because we don't want it to be an unfair advantage of stacking that team with older kids. But at that 3rd grade, every area tends to say, like, as a coach, look at your team, look at who those individual students are, and as long as it's going to be a good experience for everybody involved, do it.
Yeah.
If you feel like, okay, so for example, my 2nd grader would absolutely love to be on a robotics team already, and I coach FLL Challenge, and she would love to squeak in there. I know that she would end up getting frustrated, and she would end up feeling like the little kid on the team. So in that one, I would say not a good situation. But yeah, if you're looking at the 3rd grader and you feel like they'd be a good fit on the team, they're gonna have a good experience, I'd say do it.
Yeah, that's kind of how we approach the parents. And I mean, we let them know, I mean, if the kids aren't having fun, if they're getting frustrated, they're not aware, or keeping up, then, maybe another time.
Yeah.
So hopefully we got that figured out.
And there also is FLL Explore, which is intended for second through 4th graders.
Mhm.
Depending on how much free time you have and whether or not you wanted to tack that onto your plate, that is a good fit for the shorter attention spans. It's a shorter season, it's less competitive, so some of the frustrations that 2nd graders aren't ready for at First Lego League Challenge, they can do really well at First Lego League Explore.
Yeah, I'm being more selfish and looking at my bandwidth and resources, and I want just one template to follow.
Totally understandable.
Okay, and when I looked at the resources, I mean, I'm still digesting everything. There's definitely a lot to this program. But what is the code for the guided mission?
Okay, so the code for the guided mission is early on in the team meeting guide. It walks you through a guided mission of do this, then do this, then do this. The code for the guided mission is exactly that. It's a sample of what it could look like.
Okay, so that's basically a code for a test mission versus what the kids are actually going to be doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can pull up the PNG. That's just the image of it. It just breaks it down of here's what's going on and those notes there are just intended to help explain it. And I will also say I've had some years where I've coached teams and they have done much simpler. Hey, Tommy, I really where they've done things that are much simpler than this, and they have definitely used less sensors and they've been successful. So I would say this is a team who's really embracing the challenging, the program challenging aspects of it. Your team doesn't have to go this far. You want to. It's okay if they push themselves and don't get to that point, as long as you feel like they're pushing themselves enough to gain from it, but not every team has to do this in order to be successful.
Okay.
Each day a clean little.
Kelsey, I have another question, and Lisa encouraged me to send you an email, but I thought I better look through all my emails and look at all the links and click on all the documents before I ask you if there is, if there are tutorials or training lessons or something for coding in the Lego League program, because we do code on code.org. So the kids are really familiar with this already, but gosh, I just feel like we're at a really baby level of programming, and I can't seem to find any tutorials that take them beyond just teaching them how to turn to the right, turn to the left, go forward, go backwards,
Sure.
lift up the little doohickey in the front. That's all I've found in terms of resources for training them.
Okay, so okay, the first one that I would throw out there, we've had success with it. And I say this, I think most of the resources are EV3. I don't know, our team has not bumped over to Spike Primes yet, so those resources might be there, and I'm just not sure. But the first one that I will say my teams have used is on YouTube. Build Lego, like Lego Builder 35, Lego Dude 35, something like that. His videos, I feel like are good. In terms of what's on the first website, sorry, I clicked that too fast. Okay. Where they're at on the first website, and this is one of those rabbit holes that I have not looked at every resource on here, so I can't show you which one on here is the best one. But where you can find a host of programming tutorials, back to the First Inspires website under the challenge updates and resources page, the multimedia resources. The multimedia resources is, like I said, a rabbit hole of lots and lots of things. It starts out by saying like, hey, here's links to all the things that as coaches and mentors you might find useful. There is professional development that FIRST does, like that teachers can sign up for, pay for it, go to over the summer, or not just teachers, but it's very popular for teachers. As you keep going through here, got team management resources, core values resources, and then robotics resources. This and then specifically they do have it broken down into some Spike Prime resources.
Oh,
I think,
this is
Heather, this is where you're
exactly
find
what I was needing. Thank
for.
you so much.
Yeah, I haven't used these yet, so I don't know which ones are better than others, but there's a lot here. And if you have, you know, a team that wants to tackle it, and you have 6 kids clicking on things in here, you're going to find it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Kelsey, this is Bill. And
Yeah.
the one thing I would recommend is primelessons.org was put together by a couple kids.
I'm so sorry. I'm having a
brothers.
really hard time. Can you say it one more time? I might have to. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I will be right back.
Anyways, for the rest of you guys, the one thing that our team's found really useful is there's a website called primelessons.org that's put together by these 2 brothers, the Session brothers, that goes through step by step, and it starts at the basic stuff for both the Mindstorm and the Spike Prime, and will give you like, here's the basic ways to do it, here's the ways to do it a little bit more complicated, all the way to actually troubleshooting your stuff. So beyond the things that Kelsey's just shown you, that would be our biggest recommendation for how to learn the programming.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, perfect. And it sounds like that was good advice. That was not a question.
I totally love the community. Thanks, Bill, for jumping in and adding that right then. That was perfect.
Any
Is
other
this
questions?
is this webinar going to be available afterwards so we can go back and check through?
Yep.
Yes.
So on our website that Kelsey showed you, first, IdahoRobotics.org, under the FLL section, we will have the calendar of these mentor meetings. These, we actually changed the name to More Information Mondays. And you'll be able just to click on today's date and it'll take you to this video.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. One other thing you're going to need to have for your team are team shirts. So have the kids kind of figure out designs, maybe have a contest early on when you really aren't, you know, diving into the robot or something, to have them design the t-shirt, get your logos for your sponsors and stuff on there. If you've gotten a grant, make sure that the company or the entity that gave you that grant is on that shirt as well.
Yeah, and one thing that I would encourage you, if you're, you know, the sole coach or teacher, and you just heard that and you're like, like one more thing. Honestly, like in a group of 10 students, there's a really good chance that somebody's parent has a Cricut and they're willing to do it. I've had years where I've had like a small team of 4 kids, and Joanne's shirts are like $3 and it's not a massive project, but it's an even better project if you can get a parent to tackle it for you. Any other questions?
Hi, Kelsey. This is Bill. I've got a question. I understand that you guys have been really successful and have a lot of rookie teams this year, and that one of the things that was discussed was trying to pair them up with some of the more veterans teams. Do you have a time frame on when you're going to get that set up?
Sooner is definitely better. I was actually just looking at that list earlier today and seeing that we had a couple rookies that I know we haven't paired with yet. Are you guys interested in being on the teaching end of that pairing?
We're happy to help however we can.
Okay. Yeah, so one of the big ways, I guess there's 2 ways that we're doing that. And it's kind of like just looking at those ends. As we've had rookies sign up, we've asked, are you looking to be mentored by a team? And then there's a veteran grant that we're still in the early ends of receiving the applications for. And we're asking, like, are you interested in mentoring a team, and then linking those contacts together. So part of that is, go ahead.
It's actually required if you're a veteran team. So if you apply for that grant, you are required to be a rookie team veteran. I mean, oh heavens, a rookie team mentor. So we will definitely be pairing those teams up.
Yeah. So, but thank you very much for wanting to be part of that. Because like Lisa said, the community is a huge part of what makes FIRST so successful. And so being able to take teams that have been successful and have really good FIRST experiences to help shape somebody's rookie year is pretty cool.
I have a quick question that came up in our team meeting today. This is Annette. When we start coding, how many backups do we make in case of loss of coding, and how many computers do people typically bring, and how many bots do people typically bring to the competitions?
Yeah, so there's definitely going to be different answers to that. I can tell you in all the years I've been coaching, we've only ever like lost a computer once. And it was like physically dropped, shattered tragically the night before the competition. In terms of having lots of backups, having a backup is not a bad plan. The bigger issue that my teams have struggled with, and I think part of it is I tend to work with 6th grade teams who don't come in with strong technical skills. Naming those backups and keeping track of where your backup is and which backup is the backup that you trust and which backup is too old is the bigger issue. So yeah, I recommend a flash drive that's left in a central place. And if you're programming on one device, at least every week, or if they have like that exciting breakthrough of they've finally figured out the line tracking that they've been working on, save it, back it up, put it on that flash drive, and then keep working on it. I could be wrong on this, but I don't think that most teams have like a backup robot. Typically at the qualifiers, someone will have one. The qualifiers that I've done, like my high school team has enough EV3s that we always made sure that we had one of each sensor and a brick there, just in case somebody was having issues, we could swap it out. Where it's at that transition where we have some teams on the EV3s and some teams on the Spike, I don't know that we can promise that every qualifier will have a backup, but honestly, like it's that community of FIRST teams, and if somebody needs a whatever sensor or whatever brick, that message spreads pretty fast, and you're going to have, a kid walk up to you and say, hey, are you guys the team that needed this?
Aw. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else have questions?
I think that's pretty good then. Just know if you guys have any needs, any questions, concerns, anything like that, you can reach out to Kelsey or I at any time. You should have our information. If you don't, I'll make sure that it goes on it's on our website. So
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll hang out for a few more minutes in case anybody has one last question that they decide they want to ask. But I think we hopefully hit the points that we were hoping to. Hopefully you got something useful out of it. And yeah, like Lisa said, if you have any questions at all, please reach out to us because we do want to make sure you have a awesome first season. So.
Perfect. I might just have a question about when you mentor, because we mentored a couple years ago when COVID just hit, and we were paired with a team, rookie team from the south of Idaho. So our time frames never lined up so that we could have like a Zoom with the kids, with our kids, a meet and greet sort of thing. It was mostly by email, just reaching out to them and like giving them a list of our tips, so the things that our team has kind of accumulated as a collective knowledge about how to like having a backup or having all the extra things in a box in somebody's car, just in case we need to build an arm or something at the last minute or whatever. Just the little tricks of the trade, I suppose, as having gone to multiple competitions. What are you planning on linking people up north mentors with north rookies or north with south rookies, or how were you planning on doing that this year?
Yeah, ideally teams would be geographically close. It's really fun if you can see that team that you mentored at the same qualifier and get to share that experience with them.
Yeah.
So the only way that I would see us doing a north-south pairing is if just the numbers worked out that way and we didn't have another option. But I think ideal is certainly, I was thinking just in terms of meeting that other team in person. I think that's really a powerful experience for kids, but I hadn't even thought of the time zone. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks.
okay, so I think we might just call it early. That all right? Again, if you guys have any questions or need anything or just want to chat, feel free to reach out to us at any time. Our plan is to build the programs so that they have a community of all 3 programs throughout Idaho, and we can build a pipeline through the ages as the kids grow up and graduate from high school. So the plan is to link you guys across the state. Hopefully these More Info Mondays will start doing that. All right, so I'm gonna stop recording and thank you all for your evening.